welcome back to the Barrel Talk Podcast. We are back with another episode. This is episode 156. Joined with Nick Gwynn, Connor Carson's on the call. How we doing?
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
We're doing.
Great.
We're doing. I mean, watching. I mean, y'all know my basement setup. I mean, double screened. I mean, watching my Vikings just get absolutely beat the fuck in the wild card. And then on my left side, I'm watching the Warriors lose to Toronto. So I'm just like, man, what happened? I mean, we was on top of the world in 2016 in basketball. And now we're just buffoons.
Fast forward to today.
I mean,
nothing.
Fast forward today, we are not shocked.
I mean, I'm going to make a separate let's talk about it, but I can't believe Curry, Bron, and KD are going to go out this sad. All being considered on playing teams.
Terrible.
But,
hopefully we're a playing team. Suns, man.
But we can get into NFL wildcard weekend, starting from the top, going through all the games, talking about those, get into our divisional round, kind of not even really predictions, but just diving into all those games. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the coaching fires and job openings and some of the stuff that is going on there in that realm. But we can start off with the Chargers. Me and Nick's Chargers. Feel like the entire world was on the Chargers except for Connor.
Hey, man. When you know, you know.
It just seemed like what I said in the predictions flipped because I was like, whoever protects their quarterback better is going to probably win that game. And then it came to be the Texans for the most part, but it also came because Justin Herbert threw the ball away. Could say the Will Dissly one wasn't on him. I could even see a world where you say the Ladd one wasn't on him as well. It legit went right through his hands, even though the ball was high.
It was high, though.
Even if it went so perfectly through his hands to where like it didn't get tipped or anything. So I was like,
have to catch that. But
I was like, at least make it so the defender doesn't get it and just drops in his lap at least, because you could have easily like at least made an attempt on the ball. But I feel like it went perfectly through his hands. So the picks you could say are on him or on not. I just want to see what you guys thought of our Chargers, Nick. I mean,
I don't know. It's a weird. I feel like he's in a weird spot because. It's like I didn't expect them. I mean, I expected them to be in the playoffs. Connor and everyone else didn't expect them to be in the playoffs.
We were the only people out of our entire friend group that expected Chargers to be at least maybe not playoffs, but have this many wins.
Yeah. But so like this shouldn't have been like anywhere you like lose anything. It didn't really matter. Like we weren't supposed to be here anyway. Vikings type shit.
Oh, here we go.
But
now we're not even supposed to be.
No. But at the end of the day,
you were here.
We're here. And it's like Justin Herbert's second playoff game, and he just plays like shit again. And so now he's just getting into like if he just didn't play like complete garbage, it's fine. You didn't even have to win the game, but he played like legit shit. And now he's just into like that Lamar territory. It's like where you can whatever you do in the regular season is fine, but like until you show me that you can do anything in the playoffs, like I can't trust you for real. So it just sucks. But like I feel like that's the only thing you can really take away from it because it's like we knew this Chargers roster wasn't really that good. We knew that their schedule was really easy and their defense kind of just got away with playing these really bad offenses at certain parts of the year. So I don't know. You just blow it up. You go on to next year and get some more pieces around him, but just proceed with caution with Justin, I guess.
It's like that Texans defense was. And it has been all year, kind of the only thing that's kept this team afloat because their offense has been hit or miss pretty much every game. But that defense, I mean, I haven't really seen too much of D'Amico Ryan's hate for how this season has gone because I feel like the expectation going in was just so high to where, like, I feel like unless they were the 1 seed, everybody was going to think they could have been better. But, like, you had the injuries, but that defense, man, he has that defense looking insane.
True.
And now they're rolling, and now they were the higher seed and they had home field, but I feel like with the narrative of going into that game of how people thought the Chargers were just going to beat them.
They were underdogs.
Yeah, like I feel like they're playing with more confidence now, especially that defense to where like if you want to be in a game with the Chiefs and give CJ Stroud a chance in this one, it has to be through the defensive side of the ball and getting stops when needed. So I'm interested to see that matchup, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll be on that.
Go ahead, Connor. Go ahead. Talk your shit about Texans.
Hey, I had to pick the Texans. I wasn't allowed to pick the Chargers.
Right.
But yeah, I think the Texans just went in there and handled business. Justin Herbert looked terrible. And it's so disappointing for them because you start the game out up 6-0. Two really good drives, go down, get field goal range. The Texans have nothing going. I think the Texans might have punted 4 or 5 times in a row. And then, you know who else punted 4 or 5 times in a row? The Chargers. Like, they could not take advantage of anything that was happening. And then even when the Texans did turn the ball over, then the Chargers were like, hey, let's also turn the ball over. So it doesn't really make any sense. Yeah, they couldn't get anything going when they got on the opposite side of the field, which is very confusing because that Chargers offense actually really is decent. And like they were running the ball very well in the beginning and then couldn't run for shit.
Yeah.
Like the offense just shut down. Like it's almost like you can't even blame the Chargers defense for what happened just because of how bad the offense was playing. Yeah, Justin Herbert throwing 3 interceptions does not help. He should not be doing that. He is way too good to be throwing 3 interceptions in a playoff game. Just
4.
Like Love 4, never mind.
Like I said, I think 2 of them weren't his fault. The Will Dissly one for sure wasn't his fault because Will Dissly legit just basically said here to the defense instead of catching the ball. So, but the picks are still inexcusable. I will say, kind of looking ahead towards the future, in the now Herbert Harbaugh era with the Chargers, I think of it as this will be, with as many games as they won this year, this will be the least talented offense that he will have the next like 5-6 years.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
So that offense will just continue to get better. Like with a sub-tier offense, and I still think they can improve that defense. Like with this being your first year in the Herbert Harbaugh era, in a division with the Chiefs and the Broncos, who also made the playoffs this year, I still think the season is a huge success. Even with it sucks how it ends, but you gotta think bigger picture than just one game, especially in the NFL. Like, I'm not gonna be shocked if this team is legit in the same exact game next year. Like maybe not winning the division because you're in the same division as the Chiefs, but what could happen? But another 5-4 game to where like you're gonna be forced to go on the road. But offensively, I assume this team is going to get a weapon. I mean, we see receivers are available. It seems like you got to think about somebody like Garrett Wilson. Even like, I know it probably won't happen, but somebody out there, Tyreek Hill, George Pickens. I think Garrett Wilson would be the perfect player if they were to go trade for a weapon to pair with Ladd. But you never know what they're going to do this offseason. I don't know how much cap space they have to work with, but those are just guys that they need because they need that guy on offense. Ladd can only do so much for you, especially with Quentin Johnson being hit or miss every single game.
Yeah, I mean, you have 0 catches for Quentin Johnson for 5 targets, and you have Ladd McConkey who had 9 catches for almost 200, and Will Dissly is the next guy with 2 catches under him. And they were down for basically the whole second half, or even some in the first half, but I don't know, like with him, I don't know how Justin Herbert can only have 14 completions. I think that is crazy. And
it's
it's just they weren't on the offense a lot. And
time
they
of possession.
They were running so fast.
Because it's like in the second half, it's like once because the Texans are a top 3 team against stopping the run. That's their defensive calling card, and they're going to get after the quarterback. But like once you, in that offense that's already really limited, like once you can stop J.K. Dobbins in that run game, it's really like it has to be Ladd or nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's just so dumb because like, when you have no time of possession like that, you have to really value your possessions.
Yeah.
And you have to be scoring every time, and like you can't be doing these stupid 3 and outs. I don't know.
That's what makes kind of like a team like the Eagles and the Chiefs, like comparing those 2 teams and the Ravens, like super dangerous because they can legit like, all right, we're just not going to throw the ball. We're just going to keep the ball on the ground, and we're just going to play through our own line and be physical. And we're going to chip away and get first down at first down because like, when you watch an Eagles game or a Ravens game or even a Chiefs game, it's been so long, but like it would get to the point where like if you go 3 and out, like that in the second quarter, like you really might not get the ball back until like a minute left because they will bleed that clock and they'll play the physical and slow. And I feel like that's kind of what started to happen in this game with like time of possession where they were just getting killed and outplayed really, especially on the O-line. Like both their even Joe Alt and their right tackle were just absolutely struggling all night. And you got to think this Texans defense is built for playoff situations like this. Like, they're super well coached. But am I surprised the Chargers lost? Maybe a little, just because I was so high on them all year. But am I like super shocked that they lost in the fashion they did? Not really. It seemed like just a lack of offensive weapons, especially when they shut down the run. There wasn't really much that they could do. And then their defense just tired out.
The Texans just dominated like in all fashions. Like that first quarter ended, and then it was all Texans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even know. Like, Nico Collins kind of emerged. Like, Joe Mixon is still rushed for over 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
They were just doing everything better than the Chargers.
Yeah.
Which is insane because we know how the Texans' offense has looked this year.
Like, and they didn't even look good.
No.
Like, the Texans didn't even look good.
No.
It's just...
those turnovers
man.
at the bad times, killing those drives, and like some of the sacks that he would take.
They got down the field that first drive. They looked really good. Justin Herbert was running the ball, made a few really good passes, and you don't score out of it. You just get a field goal. The Texans, Joe Mixon fumbles for the first time in like fucking 1,000 touches, and you just get another field goal again. And they fumbled at like the 20-yard line. You can't.
You can't settle for field goals.
Start the game 6-0 after turnovers, and then if they score, they're just beating you again. Like, you have to get that. You have to get the ball in the end zone.
It can sometimes work in the regular season to where like you just take the points in the regular season, but in the playoffs with how good teams are and how good teams can go on runs, like you got to get a touchdown damn near every time in the red zone if you plan on going far in the playoffs.
Especially if you know your offense ain't like that. You know you aren't going to be able to get in their red zone every single drive. You got to take those points, man.
I'd damn near rather see a team be uber aggressive early in the game and just go for it on fourth down than just settling for a field goal.
Mm-hmm. Like, then the Texans like literally marched down the field the next drive, and all of a sudden we're losing again.
Yeah,
after they had been fucking up the entire first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't hate the field goal thing, especially like in the.
No, I don't hate I don't hate taking the field goals. It's just like. Mm-hmm. Come on, offense! Like, get the fucking ball in the end zone.
You're in the red zone. You're like, okay, like we're not gonna score.
Yeah,
like, we're just gonna go kick a field goal.
I get it. It's just fuck, man. Like, get better and just get in the end zone, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought the Texans were. I didn't think they were gonna look like this, but I did think they were gonna win the game for sure.
But kind of like I said, going forward, Chargers W of a season for sure, especially in this new era that you do have. I expect this to be the worst roster, barring any injury, that you have in this era now. So it's only really up from here, and you already had a good start. But who knows? AFC is crazy. Anything can happen. But going on to the night game, Steelers and Ravens. We talk about this, I think, once or twice, maybe 3 times a week in the group chat. It gets brought up. I just think it's time for a culture change, a new voice in that locker room. In my opinion, as good of a coach Tomlin is, even if I was him, I would be looking for a new situation because you have the highest paid defense in the league, but that defense consistently doesn't show up in the playoffs every time. TJ Watt was put in a box yesterday, a couple days ago. Like, Pickens is a head case. Russell Wilson is just not good enough to like be the quarterback that can take a team with a lack of offensive weapons to the next level at this point in his career. So I just think this team needs a new voice in the locker room.
Which is so crazy because like we would always sit there. We're always sitting there in the chat. We're like, it was never Russ in Denver. Like, he always had like, it was this, like, look at the stats. It was never Russ.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes here and he like shows flashes of the Russell Wilson that I know. But then there's games where it's like, we can't even complete a pass. So it's so confusing with Russell Wilson, like, especially with them having Wilson and Fields as free agents coming up.
I think you don't bring either one back.
I don't even know what to do. I don't think it's going to be Pittsburgh's choice to bring back Fields. I think someone else is going to go sign him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I could see Fields somewhere else. If you do bring someone back, it probably is Russ. But, I mean, he had 270 for 2 touchdowns, but, like, they were just down the whole game. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're down 21-0 at half, and then you're kind of just throwing the rock. as much as you can.
I just think unless you're like revamping this offense, which we know won't happen if everything stays the same coaching wise and everything. So like unless you're doing something like that, like Russ is not gonna, unless you just want to stay mid, which it seems like the Steelers love to do. Like if you bring back Russ and just keep everything the same, that is the most mid-team move to where you're gonna end up with a 9-win team again, and you're not gonna get anywhere. It's just not. They're just unserious about really competing. Like we see this throughout professional sports all the time. It's like teams are perfectly fine being middle of the pack, making playoffs every now and then, but never making a serious run, never being a serious contender. Like nobody ever views the Steelers as serious contenders ever.
I don't think they're unserious. I think they're like stubborn.
Stubborn.
I think they think they can still do it.
Oh yeah.
Based on defense and their culture. They think they can still do it their way, I think. I don't think it's unserious. I think they are just arrogant and think they're still capable of doing it.
Which
I
is
see your
wrong
point.
with, I think because with Cincinnati like doing so bad this season, like honestly, you would have just been rooting for Cincinnati to make the fucking playoffs over the Steelers.
Yeah.
Right.
Since the Bengals would have gave you a better fucking game against the Ravens.
Fuck yeah.
I'm not saying they would have won, but
it would have been a way better game.
We would have got some good games, especially the two games that they played in the regular season were really good. So I don't know. The Steelers are just so goddamn confusing. Like it's just so like they should be so much better than what they do, and then they make the playoffs, and it's like okay, time to lose in the wild card to whoever they play.
Yep.
Because they're so content with getting like the last spot in the playoffs. They're gonna play like the number 1 seed or something, and then just get stomped, or number 2 seed and then get stomped. Like I don't know. It's just that culture is just very weird, and I think that comes from management, maybe not Tomlin.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's like a Tomlin thing either.
I don't think
it's a weird situation that they're in.
I really don't think Tomlin's like the problem. Like
I don't think so
either. You can make fun of like this winning season thing that he has, but like, I mean, it's serious, bro. Yeah. Like, he doesn't lose. Tomlin is not a loser in the regular season. Like, no. I don't know.
I see both sides of this like Tomlin argument that we talk about.
Both sides, especially like longtime Steelers fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that they probably are like way due for a change. They probably want to be so done. Like,
oh yeah, they're sick of it.
They're probably so
they're ready.
They're so ready. But then, as like other fans of like other teams, you're just like, why?
Like why? Like you don't know what it's like.
Like you don't know what it's like to win 2 goddamn games in a season. I do.
From a fan's perspective, just being consistently good and getting your hopes up every year can get just a little bit demoralizing. Oh, yeah. But from just a NFL like standpoint, like there's no reason I think you're genuinely better tanking for a higher draft pick than being where the Steelers are right now. Because you're in such a realm, and for one, you're in the AFC, right? Mm-hmm. You're in quarterback hell. If you don't have an elite level quarterback in the AFC, your team is not going anywhere. That's just what it is. Maybe if you were in the NFC, to where like I can say the top 8 to 9 quarterbacks are all in the AFC in the league, almost.
Right.
Yeah.
So like if you're not having an elite level quarterback, your roster has to be prime 49ers from years ago. That's how good your team has to be to compete in the AFC.
The Steelers have like that roster.
Their defense doesn't show up in the playoffs.
Like their defense just like fizzles out throughout the season.
Like gets hurt too.
They just get hurt. And they're older. They're an older bunch now.
Like nothing. TJ did nothing. Like, did he really do literally nothing?
That's what I heard.
His name is not even on the box score. Oh my god, he did. That's crazy. I can't believe the Ravens boxed him up like that. But like, yeah, their offense is just still so weird. I mean, it's so crazy that they could use a guy like fucking Deontay Johnson. Like, oh my god, you almost could have brought him back.
The only grace I will give them is they were getting Christian Kirk. And he got hurt the week before. But this is also a season where
is that like is
Christian Kirk doing it though?
Maybe
Kirk's good. I
At
love
least give
Christian.
them another
Christian
option.
Kirk, Deontay Johnson, like
Yeah.
Like
Deontay
really?
Johnson's been cut from like 3 fucking teams now.
This season's like almost like an anomaly because if you go back to like week 7, you're like, holy shit, the Ravens have 3-4 bad losses, and you're like, we're the 1 seed. The Bengals are shit. The Browns are bad. So
We're the 1 seed.
I'm like, if I'm the Steelers, why are we not winning this division?
I mean,
why are we not winning this division this year?
0-2. Like, they lost to the fucking Raiders.
I just think the back half of the season, we knew that was going to be the goal. Looking at their season, like before it started, like that back half was just so bad for them.
Yeah, their schedule was kind of insane.
We lost the last 5.
And then you lose winnable games as well.
Sure.
Like the Bengals one, you could have won for sure. That was a huge one that could have like really turned the tides. But it's just like that back half killed you, and it doesn't help because like Russ also didn't play that great in that stretch. But you're playing elite playoff caliber defenses every single game, so it doesn't help on an offense that does struggle. So I don't know. I can't. Steelers fans will have to like really tell me other than Will and Stroh. But like, I think it is a Tomlin thing, and then I think it's not. There's just so many different arguments for what the Steelers could do and what direction they could go in. But like, then I hear us talking in the chat today about Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, cool, you get Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, but like,
that's getting a little wash territory.
Yeah, like that's just getting super, super desperate. Now, do I think because it seems like wherever Rodgers goes, Adams was going to go, right? That's just seeming like the possibility of what could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, maybe if you add Rodgers and Adams to what you have on offense.
I don't think either one of them are going anywhere.
Yeah, I think they're both staying with the Jets. Yeah, so I don't even like. That's just getting, like you said, super washed and desperate territory. Which, if you're gonna do something like that, you're better off just going into a rebuild.
You're better off that they won't though.
Yeah, they won't.
The Steelers will never go into a rebuild. They think that their lineage and like everything that they stand for and like having Tomlin and everything, like they will not allow themselves to go into a fucking rebuild.
But it's kind of like, to like kind of wrap up on the Steelers, like it's just, like I said, the AFC is so quarterback driven, unlike the NFC, to where like the Steelers can have the best roster all they want. They're going to have to run into 2 of the 3, if not all 3 of Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar, even Stroud now, like Herbert's going to be in the mix the next couple of years. Like, you don't have that guy. And what is the avenue to getting that guy? Like, you already have the highest paid defense in the league. Like, you don't have the cap space to go get anybody that is considered that guy, because I think there's only a couple of them in the league and you're not getting any of them. So
I feel like they got to be scared to take a young guy, like, just because how Pickett turned out. Like, I feel like they took like their young quarterback and like it worked for 1 season, and then everything else just fucking went downhill. So
because now you have a weak quarterback class. You're better off just taking Fields if you wanted to draft somebody this year. You might as well just keep Fields if you want to go younger.
I think they should keep Fields, but like I think there will be a market for Fields.
Yeah, there's definitely be a market.
This is the worst year off-season wise to be looking for a quarterback because the draft class is weak and the free agency pool is all a bunch of what-if guys that could work out in the right situation, but it could also go the other direction in the right situation.
And they're also going to feel like they're going to be asking for a lot more money.
Yes, just because the market is so dry in the NFL this season when it comes to quarterback play. But even if I think bringing back Fields would be a safe pick because this would be his 2nd year. He's already shown success in the offense. If you could just add a little bit more, maybe make it a little bit more easier play calling wise for him, you could have something, because unlike Russell Wilson, he has that rushing ability to give the Steelers a little bit more offensively, and to make teams worry about it.
I like Milroe, man.
You think?
To Pittsburgh. But I think I could see Milroe falling, but like, do you really want to use your first pick on him is the real question.
Now when you also need to beef up that O-line, which is bad.
I think you could get away with maybe taking signing back Russ for maybe like another season and then taking Milroe and having him sit behind Russ for like a year. Like I don't think that's like an insane thing to do. And then maybe Milroe even goes in at a couple times when Russ plays like shit.
It's gonna be interesting because he's
just an option.
He's somebody that has like the dual threat ability that you would want in today's NFL. But his year at Alabama has just been so wish-washy to where like his stock from the year prior just went so down to where he could fall. Yeah. He could fall a good amount. So I could see it.
Down to the 20s.
But like you said, taking your first pick on him, like on somebody who's like you're taking a first pick this year.
Project.
Yeah, for a project player that in theory won't touch the field this entire year, right? Coming up. So you're basically sacrificing that first for future development on a team that's trying to contend, obviously, right now. So it's just a tough gamble right there for the Steelers and what their position is right now. But on the Ravens side of things, short and sweet, they kind of just took care of business. I mean, they're on to the next round, really. That's all I have to say about the Ravens. They took care of business like they should have.
Oh, yeah.
Then we're getting into Sunday. Broncos-Bills. Now, let me tell you, that throw by Bo Nix, hell of a ball. Hell of a ball. I was sitting here, I was like, oh, shit, we got cinema right now. Cinema.
We all said that in the chat. We're like, holy shit.
It was like, we're here. Bo Nix is here.
Yep.
Bo Nix didn't do shit the rest of the game. But
none of those cases where he's supposed to be here.
See, I look at this because we talked about this briefly. Like, what is the exact future for the Broncos, right? Like, you have Bo Nix now. I think Sean Payton has done a phenomenal job turning this roster around. But it's just like, I hear a lot of talk about Bo Nix and like how he's already just peaked. Just this is what he's going to be the rest of his career. And I'm like, if you put him with Sean Payton, I think you're fine. If this is going to be Bo Nix, because he's somebody that can get out of the pocket, make the throws when needed, like, and he's a rookie. So like, I hate to say somebody's peaked already, but I can see the argument for that in a way.
Yeah, there's an argument, but like, I definitely don't think he's peaked. I think he can definitely have better seasons, especially with better weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's doing all this with fucking
no run game, like, pretty much.
Vele as his number 2 receiver. Like, I mean, you have Cortland Sutton and friends on the offense. Like, Sean Payton just coached a very good game, and like, I think he controls the offense, right?
I want to say so.
I think so, yeah.
I think he is. I know there's like stories about how complicated his offense is. And Sean Payton went out and got Bo Nix because he actually really liked Bo Nix, and Bo Nix understands the offense. And I mean, it just worked. I think it can work even more with having better stars on offense. I think them making the playoffs will definitely attract like free agents and stuff. I think everything could look fine. They're young. I mean, I think they got
their D line is already really good.
They do need to find a run game, like you said. They need to get a running back. And
they just need somebody with some juice. Like McLaughlin is like your speed guy when in that backfield, but like there's just times where Javonte Williams can't get anything.
For a fucking running back if I'm them. Like we're going to pay someone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care who it is.
They're an interesting team because like I would not be shocked if I woke up dead in the summer and I'm like, wow, Broncos just traded for Alvin Kamara.
Some shit like that. Like,
because they just need something.
Awesome.
That'd be fire. The one thing I do think, other than on the defensive side, if they were to add anything, because I think their defense is great, they need somebody opposite of Surtain, because everybody not named Surtain on that secondary got absolutely obliterated this back half of the season.
And I think that they think Riley Moss can be that. And like I'm not saying that like he can't, but like he's not. I don't think he's locking up like number 2 receivers like Pat Surtain, which I don't think anybody is. But I think you definitely need someone better at that position. Maybe like a veteran guy.
Yeah, they're just because you have the best. You have one of one cornerback.
Jair Alexander wants out.
If they were to pair them two up, their defense would get wicked. But the only thing about that is Jair's making a lot of money. You got to get another offensive weapon. You got to get a run game going. Like, and you're still doing the Russell Wilson contract experience. So like they're only going to have so much money to use. So they're going to have to be willing to, even if their draft capital situation, which I have no idea about, which could be limited as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they're another team I kind of put in the Chargers. Like, you're in a division with KC, who had one real loss all year. Like, you played one really close game with them, played close games with the Chargers for the most part. Like, you're there. Like you're going to be competing in that division because you have a good coach, you have a nice young quarterback. If you can just add, like the Chargers, kind of the outside pieces, you can be dangerous, because I feel like Bo Nix can't elevate to that level of quarterback next to a Sean Payton for the future. They just need to get the outer parts working. Now, before the season, they were my biggest surprise. I never ever in a world thought the Broncos would be in a playoff situation.
Yeah, I think everybody goes.
Me either. No chance.
So I guess you got to put that just in the success category. But if the Broncos miss the playoffs next year because the AFC is loaded, like, I wouldn't be shocked.
Like shit.
No, yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting. But I think their future is bright-ish. It's just they've got all that fucking money to Russell Wilson. That's going to be killing them for the next 2 years, I think. And then we go to Sunday night.
What about the Bills?
Bill, I mean, kind of like the Ravens.
Took care of business.
Handle business.
Took care of business.
Went down 7-0. They're like, no. I'm gonna do it my own way.
31-0 run.
We'll talk more about the Bills, I feel like, when we break down that game with the Ravens.
Like, what does Amari Cooper even do? Like, no, whatever. They won.
Probably the second most frustrating game of the weekend for me, I guess. But in the moment, man, holy shit. I mean, Packers-Eagles might have been the most frustrating game I've seen all year.
So this is the one game that I actually didn't watch, but I was keeping up with it. I didn't actually watch it on the TV, but I do know everything that was happening.
This game, if I'm a Packers fan, this game made me extremely worried about that money you just paid Jordan Love. But I have to give him grace because he doesn't have a true number one. Both of his top two weapons went down. Josh Jacobs, though, man.
What a season.
Holy shit. Josh Jacobs, that guy.
I thought I was like Josh Jacobs' number one hater when he came to Green Bay. I was saying
you were. Aaron Jones. You were on Aaron Jones.
I was like, Aaron Jones works so much fucking better with that offense. I think it's going to be so much better. Like, he's better running back. No. Not anymore. Not anymore.
Josh Jacobs just gives them that juice.
It's Josh Jacobs. And
they had problems on the O-line. Like, and it's crazy to say.
The injuries were insane.
The injuries were crazy. And the Eagles were genuinely bailed out by the kickoff. That return absolutely bailed them out because they came out so flat in that game to where, like, they were just blessed with being able to just play with the lead. And once they were able to play with the lead off rip, I was like, oh shit, yeah, this game's fucking over.
Yeah, you can't go down early against the Eagles. You can't do it. Otherwise, they're gonna toy with you, and they're gonna bleed the clock, and they're gonna be able to have these long ass drives that, like, the Eagles just have. They did it without Saquon. Now they can do it with Saquon, which makes it, like, even better. Like, Saquon is gonna have 25 to 30 carries
a game
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, AJ Brown had one fucking catch for 10 yards.
The only thing that's weird is because I watched this entire game, like, there was not really one time outside of Saquon Barkley running the ball where I'm like, Eagles looking good right now outside of Saquon Barkley. That passing game, just like, you can't. I understand.
Dallas Goedert stiff-armed that dude 3 times to get in the end zone. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That was cool.
I was like, okay.
It's when you're in, it got to like midway through the second half. I'm like, Jalen Hurts has like 35 fucking yards. I'm like, at what point, if you're the Packers, where you're like making him throw? Like, I know that they still have elite weapons, but we're consistently fine with letting Saquon Barkley just tear them up every single time that he got the ball. Like, I know the Packers don't have the best run defense in the league. And I know they were still scared, like, you still have the gravity of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. But there's times where I'm like, I think the Eagles are going to run it 3 straight times to get a first down here. And I just don't see the Eagles being able to do that against the team if they do get to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't see the Chiefs allowing them to just run the ball. They're going to make Jalen Hurts beat them. Same with the Ravens and the Bills. So I'm interested to see, because that wasn't the most convincing. But Jalen Hurts coming off of an injury, I just think the Packers completely crumbled and fell apart.
They did.
This is kind of like every big game that they've played this year, which with all the games that matter for the Packers, have folded.
They played like they were still. They played like they were still like the 7 seed that was just like there for
happy
fun.
to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
But like, I get it. Like, so 11 wins. I mean, I keep saying don't lose to the Bears, and you don't have to play the Eagles. But I'm pretty sure that they would have had to play the Eagles anyway because of the Commanders beating the Cowboys. But like, there are some games that the Packers should have easily won to avoid this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. It's like you got a 2-point win by the Vikings that beat you. Like the Lions game, they destroyed you. They beat you by 3 in one game. Then you're losing. Yeah, you're losing to the Bears. That's a lot. You're losing to all division opponents. All of their losses are division opponents besides the Eagles, which is insane. And these are the teams that you're watching like every year. You're playing every year. Like, and you're telling me you can't grab one?
Like, yeah, you had, like, they played the Eagles twice, the Lions twice, and the Vikings twice, and they lost all 6 of them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So you had 6 chances to play the best 3 teams in your conference.
So you could, I think those,
throughout the year.
Yeah.
And you didn't win any of them.
Like, that just makes me think, like, they're not there for the big game.
Yeah.
Or, like, playing the better teams.
Yep.
Like, that makes me think that you're not going to beat the better team. And that should not be happening to the Packers, because they were a sneaky dark horse to go all the way.
Mm-hmm. People were saying that they were going to win the division in the conference at the start of the year. Like, they are still the youngest team in football, and with all the injuries on offense, and you got to think, like, you're missing, like, a top 5 to 10 corner. Like, I know he's probably not going to be on your team next year, but still missing Jair Alexander, who last year against Dallas was phenomenal in that game. You don't have him. You don't have Christian Watson. You don't have Jaden Reed throughout the back half of that game. So you're really like Romeo Doubs and Josh Jacobs, and that's it.
Romeo Doubs also got hurt.
And he also ended up getting hurt with a concussion. So it's just like
Brandon Heath or something Heath.
Yeah.
Wicks and
that was
Ben
it.
Melton or Bo Melton.
Bo Melton.
But it's just, there's just times where I'm like, I think
Tucker Kraft, who they just declined to throw the ball to in big spots. Fuck him.
I'm not going to be out on Jordan Love. I'm not going to go out here and say it's a super bad contract, even though I do think he really just got paid off of like a handful of games last year. Like, he was obviously banged up this entire year from week 1. And then he had the elbow thing last week against the Bears. He was really just banged up in the entire year, which I think had a big impact on it. But if you're the Packers, you got to go get an alpha 1 in the receiver room. It's cool to have all these guys that can do a bunch of different things, but like, go get that one. Go get that guy that can create separation. Because when they talked about it a lot on the call when they played the Vikings in that last game, when they were looking at Vikings offense and having Justin Jefferson and just his gravity alone opens up the entire offense for everybody else against the Packers, because they have to close off one side because of him. They don't have that guy. You can pretty much play everybody straight up when the Packers. Like, I just think
you just live with whoever beating you.
Yeah, so they need to go out and get somebody. They need to go out and get that guy.
That's the thing every year.
Yeah.
Like, the Packers need to go out and get a number 1, or they need to go out and do this. And, like, they just never do. Like, they never will. They'll never attack the free agent market, like, on the offensive side, like, to make a difference. That's the thing. They won't even draft wide receivers. Like, what? Like a top wide receiver. They will not use their first overall pick on, like, a receiver or an offensive weapon, which is so crazy.
And it sucks because I think LaFleur is a good coach. But I think at some point, I saw a take on Twitter that was to think that if the 7th seed was never a thing in the playoffs, how hot of a seat would he be on after missing back-to-back years?
Pretty hot.
Yeah, so it's definitely very interesting, but I think they'll be fine. They just got some things they need to clean up. I'm cool with saying a lot of their season success, they did win 11 games and couldn't really get up for the big one and get over the hump. but they had a lot of injuries they were dealing with especially the back half of the year, which didn't help on top of that. But I think they'll be fine. But like you say, I mean, you played 6 games against the top 3 teams in your conference, and there was definitely a level between you and those top 3 teams that was for sure there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even levels between those 3 teams that we've seen. So it's definitely interesting of a spot that they're in. In terms of the Eagles, they're the Eagles. I kind of expect how they play. I didn't like anything I really saw out of Jalen Hurts. He was just good enough. But when you go and get to the Super Bowl, just good enough isn't going to cut it with the teams that you're going to have to beat. So I think that's still a worry for me, but we'll see what happens. Because with how the Rams looked against Minnesota, I mean, it could get interesting. Who knows?
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah. And then we are on the Monday night.
Sunday night.
Sunday night.
Yes, Sunday night.
Bucks,
Commanders.
I think I was the only one who took the Commanders as well.
Nick did.
You took Commanders?
I took them with you.
Yep, my guy. Yeah, he took the Chargers, though, so, like, whatever.
That was a really good game, for one.
Awesome game.
Mike, I mean, listen. Mike Evans get as old as he wants. He still just got it. Like, Mike Evans just has it.
He's not going to lose it.
No, and I don't think he'll ever lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm the Bucks, you really lost the game off that one mistimed snap. That's where you lost the game, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, that because it led right to a touchdown.
Yeah, so that fucks up
the go-ahead touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Because you get a stop on 4th down, and then I have all confidence, all the momentum's on Tampa's side that they were going to go down and put points on the board. And then you have that fumble and you lose the game pretty much off of that.
Oh, yeah, their offense was moving before that.
Yeah.
Their offense had been moving.
So I just think it's crazy because I see a lot of like Jaden Daniels in running styles of like Lamar. This might be a take, but like he runs more so like Mahomes, to where like Mahomes just like glides in and out of pockets, to where I'm like, how is nobody getting a finger on Mahomes? Like, you rarely ever see Mahomes get hit, really, on a run. That's how I feel about Jane. Now, Jane Daniels did get
fucking smacked.
He got smacked on the sideline. But other than that, like, he just glides. Like, it seems like anytime he looks like he's about to get hit or wrapped up, it just seems like he just is a fingertip away from the defender every single time. Kind of like how Mahomes feels when he's rushing. When Lamar does it, it's just like the most shifty shit ever. And when Josh Allen wants to get hit,
he's just so explosive and like so quick. Like he just like there's people who are fast and there's people who are just quick. Like he just moves. The way they move, their movement is so much different.
Yeah. But I mean, he did not look like a rookie quarterback in this game at all.
That O-line held up so well.
It seems like they are legit getting the best season that they possibly can out of everybody on that roster right now. And they're just honest. And then you get the doink to advance, which is insane.
I think it was a fake doink. I think it was like already in. Like, you know, you have those ones where it hits the side and then it just like flies. I think that had already crossed by the time it hit the back. Like, trust me, I know doinks. But I think it hit the back of the pole and then fell in. But whatever. It just added more drama. It was cool.
Yeah, but I thought that was the perfect way to wrap up like that slate on Sunday. And if you're the Bucks, I mean, God, if you would have had Chris Godwin to end the season, like, so I don't know the status on Chris Godwin when he comes back, but you have a stud in fucking Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
And your D-line's still going to be good. Like, if you can just really address that secondary, you can fucking go in next year and win the division again and be able to host a playoff game. If everything goes your way. So I think they're going to be perfectly fine. Tough way to go out because I feel like you only lost because of that mistimed snap. But I think if they can clean some things up in that secondary, I think they're going to be fine because their defense is already pretty good on the D-line. It's just that secondary that's not up to par.
Yeah, they had some injuries and they just guys getting old and shit.
But I mean, as long as you have Baker and Mike Evans, I mean, I'm probably going to pick Tampa to win that division again next year.
I mean, you got Baker, Mike Evans locked up for the long haul. Bucky's going to come back as your starting running back.
You saw
Like,
McMillan,
you
who
got
had a
K-
great
K-
rookie
Otten,
year.
too.
McMillan's
Cade
gonna be
Otten.
your like solidified third receiver.
Mhm.
Like he is going to be your third receiver. He'll be on the outside. They're going to put Godwin back in the slot because obviously he eats in the slot. Cade Otten is a very good very underrated tight end. I really like him, and I mean, as long as you can retain some of these guys on defense and maybe hit on someone in the draft, I mean, hey.
Yeah. They're in a spot where like you can just continue to run it back and then just hope you
Yeah.
get that one run
Mhm.
because of
Yeah.
your division. Like the only team I mean, unless Carolina just has a Cinderella run next year, like which I'm not
Right,
saying, it depends on what they do this offseason, but like you're
Isn't it-
never really worried about the Saints. Like you're
No.
never really too worried about the Falcons, like especially now that they're in the Penix era. Who knows what could happen with that team in the full season for Penix? So I'm picking the Bucks to win the division already next year. So they're in a spot to where like if they can just keep on winning the division, kind of like the Texans, to where like Texans can win the division with 10 wins, 11 wins, and get into the playoffs pretty much every year.
Hmm.
So I think the Bucks are going to be perfectly fine.
Is it crazy to say that it could be our Panthers next year?
The
Wow.
pod team. Well, me and Nick are Chargers stands,
For
but we switched it
that
up.
ain't going to be a one-time thing.
No, we switched it up. We switched because we were a Jags team. Has
That's
a pod.
crazy. That's the switch up is crazy.
We were
You can't pick a team and then just fall off.
no. We every year we pick a team for the
pick a
pod.
team. Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
what
we
I'm
pick a
saying.
team.
Next year.
Yeah.
Don't be the Panthers.
It might be
I don't know the Jags. I mean, ever since we got off the Jags wagon, they just
Jags again. Oh, so you think once we leave the Chargers and turn into shit?
I would hope not. I would
We're a
hope not.
Titans podcast.
Titans podcast.
Never mind.
Panthers will be on the board though to be a fan of.
We're a Bears podcast now.
No, I can't be any of
No.
our actual teams.
Please God, can we not be a Bears podcast?
But we'll find a team next year. Panthers are a good one to have. But getting into Monday night, I'll start. I'll start.
You have the floor, yes.
Correct me, like I could be wrong. In y'all opinion, have you guys ever seen a team have the collapse of this caliber in a legit 2-week span? Not even a full 2 weeks.
2 years ago, also the Vikings. And the wild card against the Giants.
See, I see that point, but I would say this team was so much better than that team just because the defense
it
is so
was.
much better. But
It was better. That doesn't make the loss.
I
better.
think this Sam Darnold 2 weeks ago was getting hoisted up in the locker room after beating the Packers.
Everything went wrong after
He
that.
had bare minimum $35 to $40 million per.
Locked up.
Like absolutely locked up. If in his mind, if he just plays decent, you're looking at anywhere between 40 to 45 minimum with how quarterbacks get paid. I've never seen a player implode and lose so much weight that he had throughout the entirety of the season and like so fast.
For to have you had everything.
You
And then
you
was
had
just-
it. You
was
had
just
it.
taken from you.
Legitimately fumbled.
There were two weeks ago, there were talks of the Vikings keeping you. And just saying, JJ McCarthy, hey, you're on like a Jordan Love kind of plan now. We hit gold and Sam Darnold, we got to keep running with it, right?
There were talks of maybe trading JJ McCarthy.
Yes, there were real talks of this.
This is blasphemous.
He was getting hoisted in the locker room 2 weeks ago.
That's our guy.
Like,
the Packers.
on God.
Had KOC looking like a proud father.
Like,
Quarterback guru. He did it again.
Did it again.
He did it again.
like
Now look.
the crazy thing is, the Vikings legit ran the NFL. Every team. But man, them Lions and them Rams. I mean, shit.
Something about the Lions ran.
Something about them, man. Like,
Just can't get him.
like, oh my god, getting into like Sam Darnold situation. I don't even know where his market stands anymore. Not even talking about the Vikings, just talking about him specifically. I don't know where his market is.
Mhm.
Like, do I think he can still get paid just off of his body of work from the season? Yes, because I think teams are content. They just need somebody that can just do that.
I think if he gets signed, if I'm smart, like you go after the draft, like for like teams who need a quarterback, because if you don't like, let's say like teams are looking for a quarterback, but they don't like get their guy or like nothing, stuff kind of fizzles out. Like then I think that's when you move into the hey, like if Sam Darnold's not signed yet, hey, is this where we take the chance? Even like I still think you guys should franchise tag him and kind of run for another year and then see, like just to see basically if this wasn't a Cinderella type beat. See if you can kind of keep it up. Like you won 14 fucking games, man. Like, are you really gonna change up the offense that much quarterback wise going into next season?
I think you have to. You're talking if you tag him, that's 40 M's. So the only reason I'm saying this is because looking at the bigger picture, nobody went to the season. You're kind of saying what Nick was saying about the Chargers. You weren't supposed to be here. You won 14 games. You swept the division damn near outside of the Lions. Like you beat the shit out of the entire NFL besides 2 teams. You lost your 4 losses on the year are to the same teams. So you won 14 games, but my entire thing is you have the 6th most cap space on a roster that's already really, really solid. Could it get a lot better star name-wise? Yes, on defense for sure. You need to bring back Cam Bynum, Byron Murphy on a deal. Who knows what Harrison Smith is going to do? If you can bring him back, good. You're fine at safety then. You don't have to worry about that ever if you bring him back. But you have so much cap space and you have the 24th overall pick. And you need to address the O-line, which was a huge problem to these past 2 weeks.
Yep.
And you lose Dershaw, left tackle, stud left tackle. So you're going to get him back. Brian O'Neill's fine. That interior is going to impact your run game, which they just need somebody with fucking juice. They need somebody that can just break off runs, which I'm just looking at the draft and I'm just like, fuck, yeah, the 24th pick. I mean, if fucking Genty's there, just grab him. Like, unless you're going to go try to find a guy to pay, but all the guys that are going to be available to pay are going to be older running backs.
Well, Jones is on a 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, you need to address the running back. You need the interior O-line, and you need to address cornerback. I think your D-line's fine. You have, in my opinion, Grenard's a stud. You have Van Ginkel.
You got depth and everything.
You have Dallas Turner. You have Pace, Cashman. So your D-line is fine. Your linebacker room is fine. It's the cornerback, interior O-line, and a running back. You don't need to touch fucking receiver. So you're in a situation now. I understand bringing back Darnold, but you're in a situation now to build a Niners type roster with McCarthy around it on a rookie scale contract. Not a lot of teams nowadays get to do that. So I think you kind of have to even, especially with how bad he played. I understand the O-line had a big part of it, but when you think of that drive where TJ Hockenson caught that touchdown pass, if I'm TJ Hockenson, I just drop that ball. That ball was so behind him. Like, it's just, I just think you need to go into this offseason, and our GM's been very good at getting us into a position like this to have this much cap. Because with you got letting go of Daniil Hunter helps. You got better in the edge game because of it. You got rid of Kirk. You didn't fall into the trap. I highly doubt if he didn't fall into the trap with Kirk Cousins, he's not falling into it with Sam Darnold. I promise you that.
Like the fact that I'm sitting here looking at Sam Darnold, who was basically written off. He came in and threw for 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 12 picks. And he's not going to get a contract back from the team he did that with.
No.
Like, that sickens me. That sickens me in today's NFL.
He won't.
That is so crazy. He was in MVP conversations for about a week.
For about a week.
I don't, man. I think it's almost asinine to let him walk right away. I get you have JJ, but like, what the fuck was the plan to go get Daniel Jones? What is this? What is he building? 3 white quarterbacks in this fucking room. What the fuck is he building?
The point of
Are you
getting
gonna do the same thing with Daniel Jones next year?
No, Daniel Jones would be the for sure backup going into next year, and McCarthy would be the starter.
Would he though?
Yes.
Would he though? Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's open competition.
I think McCarthy.
KOC just runs it up with Daniel Jones now.
No, I would fucking hate that.
What?
At least,
why not?
I would hate that. No,
you hated it with
Before
Sam
last
Darnold?
year, you said I guarantee you'd say Daniel Jones is better than Sam Darnold.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So like, why not?
Sam Darnold was a backup.
Daniel Jones is probably gonna do it.
Because the talent, I think Daniel Jones is better, but the untapped talent that Sam Darnold did have was clearly more than what Daniel Jones could give you.
Daniel Jones doesn't have untapped talent?
No, he doesn't have the arm Sam Darnold does for sure.
No, okay, I agree with that.
He got legs that Darnold don't got.
You want a mobile quarterback?
But I think you could just get the best of possibly both in McCarthy and just play and see what you have in him.
Hey, I don't watch college football.
See, this is... You think NFL GMs are thinking that? Hell no.
I would let Sam Darnold go in like open competition. Obviously, JJ McCarthy has the edge. Daniel Jones got cut. Like, bro, no. But I'm gonna leave it open.
I just think it's kind of crazy that if you don't offer him anything.
I mean,
like,
you can
like declines.
offer him something like 20 mil below. Like I'm not offering him. I'm sorry, I ain't offering you 45 mil.
Like, brother, I'm giving you 2 years, fucking 30 mil, maybe.
Okay, so we're giving him something we know he's declining.
That's what I'm giving him.
I think.
All right, 2 years, 40 mil.
Here's how I think the negotiation is going to legit be. Here's the number. We want you to go test free agency and see what's out there.
What's the franchise tag in 2025?
40.
40 mil?
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
I just think you run with McCarthy. You got to see what you have eventually. And if you are able on a rookie scale contract to just bolster up the roster even 41. More. So you're going to have 70 mil plus a first round draft pick to use to bolster up the roster that's already pretty solid. Like, I think you just got to at least, I understand you had Kirk. You had a really rough year last year where you had a bunch of quarterbacks in the carousel that KOC had to use. Now you have Sam Darnold. At what point is KOC going to have the ability to use his guy, basically, that he's going to be able to groom and draft? Like, at what point is he going to have to just be like, I want to see what JJ McCarthy's about. I don't want to go have to develop and coach up another fucking... He's going to have to develop and coach up McCarthy, but another quarterback whose confidence was killed somewhere else. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like a journeyman type guy.
Yes, like, let me see what I have in McCarthy.
I mean, here's the all I'm saying is we'll see. Uh-oh. Are we okay? The soda spilled. Are we all right?
You spilled your soda? He's so animated.
I think we're okay. Okay, I think it's okay to just... I really think it's okay to just leave it open. I think this might sound crazy, but I think now we're in a time where it's like coaches are leaning on what they do. You know, Dan Campbell leans on that we're going to go for it on fourth down all the time. Mm-hmm. I think KOC should lean on quarterback whisper. I think KOC should lean on I am the quarterback whisperer. Do it. You can do everything that you said they're going to do. You know, built it out, you know, rookie contract. No way Daniel Jones is carrying more than like a 20 mil price tag. There's just no chance. I think you could just open competition. JJ McCarthy, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, go wherever you want, bro. You can go anywhere. You're not staying here. And just see what happens. you can get this 49ers type roster you want. I don't think Daniel Jones is a nobody anymore. I think there is a chance he's better than J.J. McCarthy. This is coming from someone who, again, does not watch college football. I know he won a national championship, but like, just tore his Achilles or just tore his ACL. What did he tear? ACL?
It was meniscus.
Meniscus. Tore his meniscus. You know, we don't know how he's going to look. What if he looks like shit? Now we have Daniel Jones, guy who started playoff games, won playoff games against this very organization in our back pocket, like we had Sam Darnold. Boom, do it again.
Yeah, I'm hearing
Where's
you.
the downside?
I'm hearing you.
Where's the downside? 20 mil? You guys got 70 mil.
The downside is that you continue this quarterback carousel, and eventually it's going to run out. Like it kind of just did crash and burn.
But he's the quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
Listen, KOC is a phenomenal.
Who says it's not going to happen with J.J. McCarthy? Is J.J. McCarthy God now?
I think I would just rather see.
Preseason tape.
I would just rather see them actually utilize a pick that they use in the first round to get him to at least see what the fuck he's about. Now, if you
still can't.
You can't tell. You got to play.
So, like, if you say it's like open competition or whatever, right?
Fine,
and
give him the job.
And then Daniel Jones. And then Daniel Jones wins.
Backup.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is probably going to be the backup.
And J.J. McCarthy going to have that job for 4 weeks and lose it.
It's going to be interesting, for sure, of what route they go down. Because it just, like, with how bad shit ended up going with Sam Darnold in that O-line, I'm just so skeptical about going down a route where, like, yeah, you have Daniel Jones, who's a completely different quarterback than Sam Darnold, but it's just like, then again, I'm going to be like, wow, if it blows up again in the playoffs, I'm not going to be shocked because you're running with Daniel Jones, right?
For sure.
But it's a gamble, like anything in the NFL. It's going to end up being a gamble with whatever route you do to choose to go down.
I think it's interesting, though. I'm glad you guys are at least have your options open. You have these, again, 3 quarterbacks where it's like, we can kind of do whatever we want with it. Where it's like, if we have the roster to where we can make Daniel Jones a starting quarterback who does whatever you just said, his touchdown interceptions were 35 and 12. I think Daniel Jones could do that on a great roster like the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I think maybe J.J. McCarthy could. Again, I haven't seen much of him, but I think it could be interesting. I'm glad you guys have at least 3 people to choose from.
I like
going down either Daniel Jones route or JJ route rather than paying Darnold.
I think I do too.
Because both of those options open up your cap. I hate
paying mediocre guys. I hate doing it. I don't want to pay mediocre guys.
You're gonna pay Sam Darnold, somebody who, like, let's get real. Like, yes, you had a great regular season, but when you absolutely had to have it, this is where quarterbacks get fucking paid. When you absolutely had to have it, where did you go? Like, you didn't just play only decent and it wasn't enough, right? You lose by a heartbreaker both games, crazy shit.
You scored 9 points in both
got
games?
Blown out. And the crazy thing was, you could see it throughout the game, and a lot of Vikings Twitter was like, KOC, like, his play calling in the second half, he basically gave up. I'm like, yeah, well, when you're finally moving the ball downfield, and then your quarterback is running backwards and takes a sack for 20 fucking yards.
Most yards lost in the playoff game.
I think the number was
82.
84 yards lost on sacks.
Jesus.
On sacks alone.
Yeah.
And when you were moving up the field, when I'm like, okay, you might have a chance to get back in this game, Sam Darnold takes a fucking sack. Like, the thing is, I can't blame KOC, and on just Vikings lore in general, KOC has gotten a lot of flack and a lot of blame. But I can't blame somebody who puts his quarterback in the best situation in the NFL, coaching-wise, player-wise, everything. Other than the O-line. O-line play like shit past 2 weeks, right? But when you see that in the Lions game, you have people open in the end zone. He's overthrowing them. When you see this game, he has Jalen Naylor open in the middle of the field multiple times for big 20-plus yard gains. Can't pull the trigger. There's times where he's just not throwing the ball and taking the sack. That's the problem I can't blame on KOC. There's times he's in the pocket And he's just not even attempting to throw the ball away.
Yeah.
He's just eating the sack, which is killing the drive. That's the only thing I can't understand. It's like when you're watching him in the game, pump fake, pump fake, pump fake. Let it go.
Just throw it, bro.
There's so many times he was just like looking off to the left side and just didn't like throw it out of bounds. Like, and then it's a pump fake. I get you're not trying to get strip sacked or anything. Like you want to hold on to the ball, but like you
way
can
too long.
throw it out of bounds, dude. Like live to see another day.
And then you're seeing how Stafford operated on that first drive. He's looking at his first read and that ball's out. That's why you could barely ever get to him. Yeah.
Let your guy make the hard catches. Just throw the ball. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's just times where I'm like, he's eating a sack because he's just not pulling the trigger. But then you look at the right view of the field, and there's guys open. So it's just like, that's the problem with me. If you were looking at it and people just weren't open, which can happen at times, like, okay, understandable. But like, you can't eat a sack when people are wide open downfield.
It's even worse going back to like that game against the Lions. Like how many people he missed.
Jordan Addison multiple times.
Yeah, like he
Taylor
had
multiple times.
Like I don't know. Like it's just like the moment was just too big or something. Like maybe he didn't believe in like his own hype or something. I feel like there was a lot of like self-leveling going on for Sam Darnold.
It was a lot of him getting legit put on his ass legit every single time he dropped back.
Getting sacked 9 times doesn't fucking help.
Yeah.
But like
it just seems like there's a rift in between this Lions and Rams game to where like he looked like when he first got onto the field in that Lions game, I was a little nervous because he looked very stiff at the start of that Lions game. He looked like the moment legit just got so big. And then there was a rift where it just looked like he lost confidence in his arm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it seemed like because he was just scared to pull the trigger. I feel like he was so worried about making a mistake and costing the team the game to where he didn't realize these sacks that he's taking and him not pulling the trigger just to say fuck it are the mistakes. Yeah. Bro, you have the arm to be a gunslinger. This is what you've been doing all year. You have the arm to just let that bitch go. Like, legit whenever you want. Because that's how strong the ball comes out. Like, there's no window you can't get that ball through. But you holding onto the ball, scared to make the throw, taking the sack, and then killing the drive is more detrimental to the game than you possibly throwing an incomplete pass and you got a punt. Right? And I just think a lot of overthinking went down into it to where I've just never seen a player lose as much money he did so quickly.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was almost... But if you would have told me week 16, whenever we beat the Seahawks, I was like, oh, shit. Sam Darnold's going to get fucking paid. No matter what happens. I was sitting here thinking, no matter what happens, if you even lose in the first round in a convincing fashion, right? Bare minimum, he's getting paid. Now, it was beyond the worst case scenario for him. Beyond in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, he went from like at least like a $120 million contract to like now. Are you going to get a starting contract?
It's tough because I'm like, out of all the quarterbacks I watched this weekend, there's levels. Like there's good quarterbacks, great quarterbacks, elite quarterbacks, and then there's just those guys that just have it. Like, he just doesn't have that it. Like, he doesn't... Like, you can see in Jaden Daniels, he fucking has it. Like, even Baker Mayfield. Like, I never see the moment get too big for Baker. And Baker's played in big games in the playoffs. Like, there's guys that just thrive in the big-time moment when you have to have it. And he's just not one of them. He's a good quarterback with good talent. But when you need to have it, he's going to be shaky. That's just what it is. And that's somebody, if I'm the Vikings, I'd rather just see if McCarthy has it and then just go down the well if he doesn't, right? Rather than pay Sam Darnold whatever, knowing what you know, right?
Kind of just eat it.
And just
like, okay, like he's not, like maybe he didn't do too well.
Mm-hmm. I would just rather you just go down the McCarthy or Daniel Jones realm than pay Darnold. Like, unfortunately, I like Sam Darnold. I think he played great for us this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have to just wash your hands with it after what you've seen. Like, this was catastrophic losses back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
Especially in a game in Detroit where it was legit up for grabs until the fourth quarter. Like,
Yeah.
you could be coming out shaky at the first drive, I get it, but there was just never a settling in point. Ever.
Never.
He never settled in. And in the Rams game, I'm like, fuck, you're down like 3 scores. How are you not settled in yet? I should just be, all right, fuck it, we're already down.
Yeah.
We're just throwing.
Might as well start just fucking chucking.
Yeah, like you
The
might
game's
as well
over,
just
you might as well
start.
throw. Yeah, but no. Like, he was still nervous as shit.
A big reason why I also think he's gone is the play calling in the second half was very telling. I think the frustration with KOC putting him in this position and him just legit just fumbling it away was telling in the play calling. I think he lost all trust and faith in Sam Darnold at that point, like middle of the third quarter, where he was like, what else could I do, right? Like, what other position, what other play could I draw up to where it could make it easier on him?
Uh-huh.
And I just think Sam Darnold lost confidence in his arm. He lost a bunch of money. Vikings won 14 games. They have $70 million in cap and a first-round pick. So you have a lot of options you could go down. And with how the Packers are currently looking, Detroit's not fucking going anywhere. So unless Chicago gets their shit together in 1 year, the Vikings are going to be probably in one of the not 14 win spots, but they're going to be in a competitive spot to compete in the NFC again. And it's going to be like, holy shit, can we finally get a quarterback to get us over the hump? Because we've had good teams.
Have you come to terms with it yet?
Yes.
Yep.
I came to terms with it at halftime of the Rams game.
Good.
When I that it's on Twitter. Wins. It's like the quarterback in college about to snap and his hands are fucking. That was legit Sam Darnold these past 2 weeks.
Oh, his hands shaking.
Yeah. I'm like, I just watched this man 4 weeks ago absolutely dice Seattle on the road on a game-winning drive. I'm like, I watched him beat Green Bay twice in the same year. Beat the shit out of him on the road and then beat him at home. And then just absolutely fold. Absolutely fold. I've never seen something like it in a short span like this. Yeah. It legit happened in 9-10 days.
From being the 1 seed to just nothing.
You were the 1 seed, and obviously probably the biggest situational regular season game ever.
Mm-hmm.
To being on the couch 10 days later.
Right with us.
Oh, that's a tough feeling.
He was rich in the 1 seed 10 days. I'd be sick. Knowing in 10 days I'm on the couch thinking, man, where's my next job coming?
Don't even know.
It's crazy to think that way.
But at least I won 14 games.
Yeah. Listen, I had with Dobbs, man, I'll always have that game against the Falcons. Listen, fuck, I'll always have that season, those 14 regular season games with Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
But that 15th and 16th game,
it's gonna be remember 3 years ago when the Vikings won 14 games, lost in the wild card. I'm
be like, man, Sam Darnold against the Seahawks, man, that drive.
Sam Darnold was looking sharp.
That drive, but who knows what happens, man? I'm very interested to see the route this offseason goes down. But we can get into our divisional, kind of talking about these games. Houston at KC is going to be the game that kicks off the divisional round. KC.
I mean, it's KC. Yeah.
Too much time to prepare, but
I'll lose the perfect bracket on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Just go. If the Texans want to win.
I just don't see them having much of a chance. That offense just still looked too shaky in that win over the Chargers, and you're just not going to do it against Patrick Mahomes, I don't think.
Not with this much time to prepare, but no. it would take the best possible defensive game to give CJ Stroud the amount of opportunities to go win it. And you would need an all-time game from CJ Stroud. You would have to have bare minimum 3 tuds, no picks, barely any sack. It would have to be the perfect game.
The run game going.
Yeah.
And they're not going to run for shit against KC. I get Joe Mixon has been hooping this season, but they can't no one can just run the ball well on KC.
Right. So I'm gonna have to go with Chiefs. I just think it's just a tough matchup for the Texans. I think their defense could make things interesting, make it a little closer than what it could be, just because that defense got some dogs on it. But I just think at the end of the day, like Mahomes is just gonna make the plays when needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they can shut Joe Mixon down, I think this game could get very ugly.
Yeah.
And then getting on to Washington at Lions Saturday night.
I still got the Lions.
You have to go with the Lions.
Still have
But
the Lions.
don't let this get interesting.
I was sitting here thinking last night.
Trust me, it won't get interesting.
All right.
I was sitting here thinking on when they won and beat the Bucks. I was like, I know they're playing the Lions, and I'm gonna take the Lions, but I'm like, I might rather play any other team right now because you're playing a Commanders team that, think about it this year, won off a Hail Mary against the Bears that completely ruined the Bears season and turned the Washington season around. They had a doink-in field goal. Jane Daniels is playing nothing like a rookie. The entire roster is playing like Pro Bowl talent on defense and offense. I'm like, they might just have everything going their way.
But I would also rather take that than playing a team that I know beat us in the regular season. Like, yeah, you know that firsthand.
Oh yeah,
The Bucks beat the Lions in the beginning of the season. Like,
Mhm.
do you want to play one of the teams that beat you? Like, I really don't. If I can avoid the 2 losses that I have, I'm gonna avoid them.
Right. I just think they're just a dangerous team because they just have, I feel like, the Cinderella run going on right now.
They're confident. They're so confident.
Yes. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, if they go out into Detroit and, like, score quick, I'm going to be like, oh, shit.
They're like, oh yeah, it's gonna make me think of the Broncos.
Yeah, exactly. That's really the Broncos. I'm like, oh shit.
But
shit.
I'm
38 straight the other way.
going to go the Lions, but man, the Commanders have so much confidence and they have a route to make it interesting, I feel like.
For sure.
Then Rams Eagles to kick off Sunday. It's the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Eagles.
I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Did you take the Rams in the?
Fuck
in the
yeah,
other
I
one?
did.
Okay,
Yes, I did.
I hope we're all keeping. That same energy.
I'm gonna take the Rams. I think the Eagles looked bad. I think they are in a spot where they can get. I think they can get beat. Since the Rams gave up like 40 points to the Bills, like 5 weeks ago or whatever, 6 weeks ago, they have only given up like 38 points total. That defense is coming together. I think they will see that you got to stop Saquon. Jared Verse is going to have a field day, and I think they can keep it close. I think Matthew Stafford can carve up any defense right now.
Okay, I don't hate it.
It's really going to be if that D-line can get enough pressure back there to Hurts. But it's more so like if they can just
make him pass.
Yes, they have to sell out to stop the run.
Yeah.
That's the point where I'm just like, do the Rams have that kind of defense to like just sell out and stop the run and be fine playing one-on-one in your secondary? Because that's kind of what the formula is to beat the Eagles. Like, if they can get to Jalen Hurts and make him throw tough contested throws,
just force a turnover.
Yes,
I think they can. I think they can do that. I think that they can force 1 or 2 turnovers and take advantage of it and score off of them, and just make it like a tough game, like one of those games where the Eagles aren't ready for it. All of a sudden, you're down 10-0. I think it should just be one of those. I
will say, this game with the Eagles, with how good that secondary is, this is not a game to where like you can just give it to Puka legit every rip.
No,
like Cooper Kupp has to have a game. Now, can he? Easily, yes, he can. He has to have a big impact on the game if they want to win.
Yes,
but it's gonna
have to be. It has to be more than one guy.
Yeah,
it can't be all Puka.
And then getting into Bills Ravens Sunday night.
I got the Ravens.
I'm gonna stick with the Bills.
I'm also sticking with the Bills.
Stick with the Ravens.
Both teams look really good. I think this is gonna be. I think it lives up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Cinema.
I think this is going to end up being a shootout.
Really?
Because
In 40s?
30s, high 30s.
So the over.
I just think because like the only two teams other than the Eagles where I'm like, well, fuck, they're in the red zone. I wonder what's gonna happen. Is the Bills and the Ravens, and I don't see either defense being able to do anything to stop Derrick Henry or Lamar from getting in the end zone, or Josh Allen or James Cook from getting in the end zone. So I'm like, it's gonna be a battle of who has the ball last and who can capitalize the most in the red zone. And I just feel like anytime the Bills get into the red zone, Josh Allen is going to just find a way to get in. Like, he's just going to, if they get down too close, he's going to get in. And if James Cook, he's been killing it getting into the end zone all year. I'm not saying Lamar and Derrick Henry haven't, but I just feel like that home environment, I feel like, especially if the Bills come out and score early, get the momentum on their side, I think the Bills could just, like, anytime they get to the red zone, it's Tud. Because I don't think the Ravens defense has enough to stop them from scoring in the red zone, and nobody really has all year. Same with the Ravens, but Buffalo being at home, I think, gives them just a bigger edge. And it's like Lamar played well against the Steelers. This is where, like, this is the exact game where Lamar needs to prove those narratives wrong. He needs to have that game. If Lamar doesn't have that game, there's no chance in hell the Ravens will win.
Nope.
Especially, like, you need to have this game where you can kind of go off and take down the Bills, especially if you're going into the next round against Kansas City. Like, you need to be like, okay, now Lamar just threw for 3 touchdowns and 250 yards. Now how is Kansas City going to stop him? Like, all that kind of stuff. So I think the Ravens are one of the only teams. Ravens and the Bills are the only teams that can put up fights in the AFC. And this is it. This is going to be your chance. Like, obviously, barring the Texans making a fucking miracle or something.
Right. But
this is it.
I'm going to be so... So, does a loss hurt Lamar or Josh Allen more?
Lamar.
It's going to be Lamar until he makes it to the Super Bowl. Because then you can move the narrative over to Josh Allen. Lamar made the Super Bowl. Okay, he didn't win, whatever. Like, maybe he doesn't win. Then you're like, okay, well, now it's Josh Allen's turn. Like, when the hell is Josh Allen going to make he's only been to one AFC championship.
Right.
Like, Lamar's never been. So.
Well, he was last year.
Well, one. He made it to one.
God, it's going to be interesting. I'm so intrigued to see how KC looks. Because the Texans do have a really good defense. And KC's kind of been like, I think they've been the best team in ball, but I can't deny that they have been shaky at points. So it's like, with all this time off, I just have a hard time believing that they're going to lose a home game to go to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, no, I won't believe it till I see it.
But I'm still just going to lean the Bills for those reasons I said. I just think when they get into that red zone, that crowd's going to get rocking and they're going to have the momentum.
Yeah.
And I think especially if, like, the Bills get the ball last, like, I just don't see the Ravens getting a stop in Buffalo to close that game. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be game of the year potential for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it's going to be interesting. But we can kind of wrap it up there.
Yes, sir.
Going into the divisional, we will be back next week with the results of that, and then going into the championship game. And also next week we'll discuss some of the other rumors and interesting news going around, but the NFL as well. But thank you guys for tuning into the Barrel Talk podcast. Hope to see you tune in to future episodes.